welcome. Welcome to our summit, Your Business, Your Dream. We want to show you how to have the business you love, the life that you want, and the financial freedom you desire. My name's Hector Bassett. I'm the director of our firm Davidson Fraser Limited. The name comes from our two oldest boys. There's a connection on my side and a connection on my wife's side. We wanted to make that the business not just about me, but more about our clients. And if you're wondering, I'm from Palmerston North in New Zealand. That's where the accent comes from. Today we have with us Daniel Hanzelka. I apologise for butchering your name ahead of time. He calls himself a reset warrior. He's focused on the areas of faith, family, fitness, and finance. So without any further ado, Daniel, I'll ask you, would you introduce yourself for us and tell us a little about who you are, how you got to be where you are?
All right, sure. Well, Hector, thank you for allowing me to be part of this summit, and I'm excited to share some of great information that I've gone through. But I'm the CEO of Reset Global. It's a company that focuses on development of leaders in business and life. As you mentioned, there's the four core areas, as I call them: faith, family, fitness, and finance. I'm a contributing author to Ready, Aim, Inspire book and Journey to Success. After 18 years in the financial industry, I have essentially reset my life using a 5-step reset formula that I've co-created with my business partner to help entrepreneurs to simplify and gamify the business of life, and also business as a business. And today, as a leader and success coach and a reset warrior, I empower others to transform their lives by discovering their full potential and their full power that that they're able to go and do.
That's fascinating. So you were in the financial industry for 16 years?
Actually, it was 18 years that I went there, pretty well right after myself and my queen got married, and back in '96. I got into the financial industry. Have gone through received the certified financial planner designation.
That's right. Yes.
Gone through all of that, and had a successful practice, had a couple of partnerships, and then the interesting part was more and more the conversations that I was having, it always started with numbers, but really the conversation always rolled around the other parts of life that are even more important.
Yes.
And I had a conversation with most clients just telling them, the numbers are important, but there is really 4 assets altogether that we have, and the financial assets is only one of the 4, where there is more important things in life as far as family and things that become more important when you're transferring even assets from one generation to the next. So I decided to move more into the coaching and helping people go beyond and look beyond the numbers, because again, the numbers are important, but I think there is a lot more that meets the eye.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree with you more, Daniel, and that's what we find as well, is that they're often a conversation starter, and it's really interesting. I find people, I guess particularly as an accountant and as a financial coach, people come to me to talk about their numbers, but as soon as you start to talk about their numbers, the only benefit of doing that is finding better ways to do what they do. So you're ultimately talking about their behaviors and their habits and their processes, and so we don't solve all those things for them, but we have got ways that we help them with that. So it's your focus is slightly different, but how you help people is you're trying to find their genius, right? You're helping them find what it is they're really good at and how to put that out to the world.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think that's important. I've just heard a great quote, and what the 2 greatest days in our life is the day that we're born.
Yep.
And the second greatest day is the day we find out why we were born. And I think this is what you're mentioning, is there's a reason why we've been placed here on Earth. And you know what, I've heard it on, I think it was, I can't remember now where I've heard that, so I can't claim it as my own. But
no, I've heard it as well. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so important to really find out what is our why. And so often, and really that's what happened to me, going back to the financial industry. I really thought that's what that's why I was placed here on Earth. And then after 18 years, I realized that, there is a lot more that I have to give, and as far as, how I can help people. And that's kind of why I transitioned from the financial industry. I gave up my, certified financial planner designation, and I said, there is a lot more. And it's quite interesting when you find someone that is really passionate about what they're doing and what it is that they feel is really their purpose, there is a
Yes.
huge difference in their life and how they're, how they're really doing things
Yes.
on day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And the one thing that I found, and one thing that I do tell people is the fact that there's the four core areas of life, whereas the faith, family, fitness, and finance. And the best example and the best description that I have is that when it comes down to finance or the business side of things,
Yep.
we're always trying to juggle balls, and it's like if all of these balls that we had, faith, family, fitness, and finance, and they're all up in the air, what we often don't realize that the financial ball is made from rubber. So it will always bounce back. If we do tend to drop it, we can go and pick it up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we start looking at, family, fitness,
Yes.
and our faith, they're a lot more fragile. And sometimes when we drop those balls, they might shatter, they might break, and putting them back together is a lot more difficult. So I tend to focus on helping people to make sure that they don't drop those three balls and really take care of those first, because those are the ones why we go out there and make money. So those numbers are important, because that's the way for us to really enjoy the rest of our life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love your analogy there, and I've momentarily lost my question, which was to do with faith. What do you call faith?
I mean, for me, as far as when it comes down to faith, it's really knowing what it is that I believe and why I believe it. So, for me, I'm a born again Christian. I make that known to my clients as I'm speaking with them, because again, that's something that's important to me, because I was originally born in under communism in Czech Republic.
Wow.
And all of that was suppressed, and it was never presented to me as an option. So
yeah.
When I was introduced, actually, it was my wife that introduced me to Jesus Christ. It completely changed my life, because I found the truth. And one of the biggest things for me is really learning new ways, not only of doing things, but finding out what is the truth. And I kind of have a saying where, first you need to learn it. So learn the truth, then you live the truth, and then you get to share the truth.
Yes.
And that really has become, part of my life message as far as sharing that. And
yes.
I meet with a lot of people from different faiths, and what I always tell them, it's not for me to tell you what you should or should not believe, but I want to make sure that if you're believing something, that you know what you believe and why you believe it, because it's so important. So many people believe, maybe in different faiths, but they don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. And to me, that becomes really important, and it comes down to pretty well important right across, all of those four core areas, because so often, it comes down to faith, even in family. Again, for me, family has become very important. My parents divorced when I was 9 years old.
Yes.
And it was quite detrimental for me and what I have gone through. So again, I've made a lot of changes in my life and what I'm doing. And when I meet with a lot of business owners, unfortunately, sometimes because they focus on the numbers so much and they want to make it all about the numbers,
yes,
they tend to neglect the family side of things, and it's quite sad, because people, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have family, you don't have your health.
Yes,
it's very difficult to to really find the purpose in your life and why you're doing what you're doing. So it's very important.
It's really interesting, Daniel. Like I just really relate to what you're saying. I recently did a course that was about working out what my why was with a chap by the name of Simon Sinek. It was really interesting, and I guess I've done personal development work, for want of a better word, in a number of different facets. And the reality is, while that's not the focus of what we do, if people don't do that, it really does compromise things. And more to the point, I can attest to that it's made such a big difference to how I run my business, and be comfortable that, for the last 6 years since we've had the practice, I've spent a lot of time with our family, and it's compromised our business financially a little bit. But I prepared for that, and it's a really really good foundation. Sorry to talk. I'm supposed to be asking you questions, but the first, what I'm curious about is just give the audience a little bit of a sense of, so if they were to come and work with you, Daniel, how does the first session or so look like? What does it look like?
You know what, a lot of times, and it's something that I'm making available, you know what, it's just having a conversation to really find out what is it that somebody really wants to do. You know what is it, you know, not only what is their why, but, you know, let's start looking at a little bit more beyond that. And I think, you know, life is really simple. Unfortunately, you know, we as human beings tend to complicate it. And the biggest thing is to really find out, like, what is really going on, what's happening.
Yep.
You know, and so often people are kind of frozen. They don't really know what it is that they want in life. Partly is because they don't really know where they are. They just have the perceptions of, you know, what is really happening. So it's a matter of really getting clarity and getting really focused on, you know, what you have. And actually the free resource that I'm providing is an exercise that I do with all of my clients. It's one of the first things that I do is I take them through an exercise where they put all of the things that give them energy on one side of a page, and all the things that kind of drain them from energy.
Yep.
And everything that kind of doesn't fall in either one of those, put that in the middle. And it's a matter of really getting clear of all the things that really excite you and focusing on those, and all the things that are kind of like, well, I know I should do this, but you know what, I just find it so draining. Find a way of either, you know, find a way to say no to those things, either have somebody else do it.
Yep.
Or, you know what, you might find out that maybe you don't even have to do those things. Sometimes we feel like we have to do a whole bunch of things. You know what, we always have a choice. Or find a way how to actually make it exciting. And one best example is, you know, a lot of business owners, what they find hard when they're running their business is to go and create more clients.
Yes.
You know, I don't talk to people, go get clients. No, it's about creating clients, you know, having those conversations and really find out what they want. Well, you know, if you're in a business and you kind of have a way of where you don't really want to go and do that, well, there is different ways of doing that. And, you know, one of my biggest aspect of my work is, you know, helping people to really simplify. I call it simplification and gamification of business. Because when we simplify things and we make it fun, you know what, things go a lot better. And so often we get so busy in life where things get overwhelming, where if we can kind of pull back, start focusing on the things that really do give us energy, and find a way how to get rid of all those things that drain a lot of energy from us, you know, we're able to be a lot more excited about life and what's happening. So
when you, sorry, Daniel, you talked about gamifying. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know what, one of the biggest gamification is when you start keeping track of something. I mean, it's kind of like if you go and play a game. You know, and we play a lot of card games with, you know, with our family, or board games, and we always kind of keep in track.
Yeah.
You know what? That's part of the fun. Yeah. Okay. I mean, everybody wants to win, but if you're playing and you have a purpose, what you're doing. So, you know, gamification for me really comes is, you know, not only knowing what it is that you're doing, but also keeping track of it and making sure that you're actually accomplishing those things. So when I work with a client, for example, and I get them to play what I call play the 90-day no game.
Yeah.
Okay. The no game basically comes down to is forget about keeping track of how many people say yes.
Yeah.
You know, when you're afraid of going out there and getting business.
Yeah.
Focus on the no's that you get. You know, because all of the yeses live in the world of no's. I learned this actually from one of my coaches that I have, Rich Litwin, and that's the one game that he introduced me to. And it just helps you to get out there. And when you start focusing on the no's, it becomes fun. You know what? Because we all want to get yeses, but you know what? You know, yeses sometimes are, you know, every third, fourth, or fifth person. Yeah. Where now, if you can get actually excited about getting no's, right? The yeses are just a bonus, right? So it's a matter of kind of flipping things, make them a little bit more contrarian, you know, and that's kind of how I work with a lot of my clients, because we've been taught a lot of things, and our mindset is set where, you know what, the truth is that most of the things that we have picked up in childhood or little sayings are so untrue, yet they're still governing on how we're behaving today. So it's a matter of kind of flipping a couple of things around and looking things from a different perspective. And actually, I'm wearing my shirt that says RESETWARRIOR on it. I've flipped around, and the reset really comes back from the whole idea that I get. You know what if, you know, the question I used to ask my clients was, you know, what if you wake up in the morning, okay, and all of the assets that you own were turned into cash? So instead of your house, car, cottages, whatever you have, it was all sitting as cash in your bank account. Yeah. Would you go back and actually repurchase everything that you had? Would you recreate the same life that you have?
That's an interesting
and most
question.
people would answer, you know what? No, I would change things. And I said, so why don't you do that right now? Why don't we go and hit that reset button and say, you know what? Why don't we take the opportunity and start doing the things that you really want to do, as opposed to waiting for that time when, you lose a job or there's a hardship or something happens. We can do that today. So in essence, every single day we can hit a reset button. And you know what? I actually have we have Staples Business Depot where we have these, it's called an easy button, and I actually went and bought this, and we as a family would hit it and said, you know what, we're going to reset today. So the reset kind of came out of that, and it's our five-step formula for the reset. For each letter stands for the different things that has really helped us. The R stands for reveal.
Yeah.
And reveal really stands for is what is the truth? What's really the reality? Because if you don't know where you are at, and this through all of the areas of life.
Yes.
If you don't know where you are at, it's very difficult to get to wherever you're going.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first step. You need to know, with finances, you need to know financially where you are. And most people, I find that the reason they sometimes don't want to find out where their finances are is because they just don't want to know.
Yes.
And more often than not, they're much better off than they think.
Yes.
But so afraid to find out and to ask the question. So that's the R is reveal. The next one is expand. That's when the fun kind of begins, where you start looking at what are all of the dreams and aspirations and everything that you really want to go and create.
Yes.
And the S in the equation stands for shift. This is now where we start putting together strategies. We start putting together things that are actually going to help you to kind of move forward. And E stands for engage. You know what? Okay, now that we have, know where we are, we know where we want to go. Now we have a system that we have designed. We get to engage it, so we put it into practice. And the T stands for tracking. And again, this is where the gamification really, takes off, is where, you have to track everything. Because how do we know how successful we are? And I actually do tracking even in my, all 4 core areas in my faith, family, fitness, and finance. Because how do I know if my marriage is doing really well? Well, you know what? I know if I keep track of it, what are the things that we have actually done? How many times I have gone on date with my wife? How much time have I spent with my kids?
Yeah.
Same thing with fitness. I just recently, trained for a 10-kilometer run. And that was actually the easiest thing to do, because I just found a system where I was listening to an application on my phone, and every time I went out there, I just listened to the voice in my ear to tell me when to run, when to slow down, when to cool down. And I really didn't have to think about it. And that's the power of having a system. And I think this is kind of what you do, creating financial
and system.
Follow. And that's where the simplification and gamification really comes from, right?
Yes. And so hopefully this is not a rude question, but you find, I think, I would have a lot of fun working with you, and I can imagine our clients would also, and it'd be a very enjoyable process. But with people in business, speaking of tracking, you find they get good financial results from working with you?
Well, definitely. I mean, you know what? The biggest thing is most people that I work with, they come and, kind of like in your business, we start talking about the business side of things. What we find is that there's a lot of energy and power that people are leaking, okay, and that are losing because they're not taking care of the other 3 areas that I was talking: faith, family, and fitness.
Yes.
So it's a matter of, simplifying and gamifying those areas.
Yes.
That actually gives them power to go and do much better in business.
Yes.
So the business always takes off when we handle all those other 3 areas. So it's not just working, on the business or without the business. It's looking at the, the whole aspect of everything. And most people are quite surprised because they don't realize that, when we take care of our body, on a daily basis and we give it the right fuel to exercise, that gives us so much more power to be able to go and be, focused in business. The biggest issue I find with most business owners is the fact that when they're at work, they're mentally really at home because they feel like I should be spending more time with my kids, with my wife. And when they're at home, their mind is at work.
Yeah.
And this is something that I experienced myself, and it's like, this is kind of, insane because you can't be at 2 places at the same time. And again, if you're not taking care of the, the small things on an everyday basis.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. I met with a business owner and unfortunately his family life started kind of going not in the right way. And they were on brink of divorce. And
Yes.
I sat there and I asked him a question. So when does this happen? He goes, it's completely out of the blue. And I'm going, listen, you know what? Nothing's out of the blue.
Yeah.
This has probably been happening for years.
Yeah. Yes.
And one of the coaches that I have, his kind of talk, and one of the things that he has taught me is he calls it swinging for singles. Have small little things, like every morning, for example, I send a Facebook note to my wife.
Yes.
I call her my queen, and just to encourage her and just to send her a note like that. We have seen relationships that have been fixed because that's something that somebody started doing. Because
yes.
The core areas, all of the core areas, there are small little things that we have to do on an everyday basis that give us success. Where it's in business, where it's in in family, where it's in fitness, or in faith. It's those small little deposits that we can do on a daily basis that make a huge difference.
And so, are you suggesting also that as you help people take care of all of those 4 areas and walk them through that, or support them in that, because I guess it's essentially up to them, right? But as they work through that, you actually become more focused, because when you're at work, that home's being taken care of. Is that part of what you're saying?
Oh, 100%. I mean, put it that way. For some people that, for example, have their relationship, their marriage is not the greatest. What feeling do you get when you're coming to the door and you put the key in the door lock, and you know that there isn't a fight ready to be happen on the other side of the door? You're going to become a lot more happier. So that's going to translate right away into work. Same thing with your body. When we start taking care of our bodies, I've actually 5.5 years ago gone through transformation. I'm not too proud of it, but at one point in my life I was 260 pounds.
Wow.
I'm about 170 right now, so I lost over 90 pounds. And you know what? Because my health has changed, it has just given me so much more clarity in my mindset, how I was thinking, how my business was, doing.
Yes.
So a lot of these things, they're small things that most people feel, well, it's not really that important. You know what? Yeah, I don't really have to go on a date with my wife this week.
Yeah.
But it's the compounding effect of all of these things, because you don't go one week, you don't go another week, you don't go a third week, and then suddenly, 5 years later, your wife comes to you and says, you know what, that's it, I'm done. And your people are going, oh, how did this happen? Well, so it's a matter of taking care of those small things on day-to-day basis. But a lot of the coaching is really sitting down with someone and just having a conversation and finding out, okay, where are you at? What are those things that you want to accomplish? A lot of people that I work with, I tell you, they don't need coach. And I tell people, what, I'm not a coach that's going to hold you accountable to, to something, that you're doing.
Yep.
I love working with people that are driven and that are already successful.
Yes.
Because for me, it's how can you go and reach that next level?
Yep.
And you know what, around finances, around any type of coaching, when you have somebody looking from outside, they can find an issue or something that somebody can't see themselves very quickly. And that's where really the change happens, when you have someone else that can look in and say, you know what, you just, most of us are so close to whatever it is that we want to accomplish.
Yep.
It's just, we don't see it in that time, in that moment. And having someone else there that can just say, well, you know what if you do it, what if you do it this way? I just recently had one of my complimentary coaching session with someone, and he was putting out a product, and just having a conversation with him. I didn't even get paid for it. Okay, but we just had a conversation for about an hour, and at the end of it, he was actually able to increase the fees that he was charging by 250%, because I was able to kind of give him an insight that he really couldn't see himself. So I tell people often, what, the brilliance is already there in the person that's sitting in front of me.
Yes.
It's just for me to help them see it in themselves, and then people really take off and accomplish what it is that they need to accomplish.
You make it all sound far too simple, Daniel. It can't be that simple. It's excellent. I really like it. Hey, thanks very much. I'll ask you one annoying financial question before you go. How much have you used, looking at your own financials to help yourself in business, and how much have you sought help with it?
You know what? Again, coming from the financial background and everything, it's critically important, when it comes down to financing and knowing exactly, where you are at. And you know what, the funny thing is when you're a coach, you think that you're supposed to have everything figured out. When you're in the finances, your finance is supposed to be completely perfect,
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's one of those things that we put so much pressure on ourselves. When it comes down to the numbers and knowing where they are at, it is vitally important. At the same time, we all tend to forget, and I'll speak for myself,
Yeah.
where things are at. And we've just gone through a couple of things. We had a couple of investment properties and things didn't quite go where they were, and we just kind of got busy.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I took my eyes off of the finances, and it kind of got all overwhelming.
Yes.
Until we sat down with my business partner, my wife, and we actually said, okay, let's use our formula. Let's reveal, the R in the reset. Let's really reveal where things are at. And, within half an hour, there was a huge switch, because what I thought we were in a kind of deep trouble, we found out that things were a lot better,
Yes.
So from the perspective, knowing where you are financially is vitally important, because, most of the time things are not that they're not as bad. It's not about that they're bad or good. I think just knowing where you are gives you the power to make decisions and move forward and move beyond to the next level and make the decisions that you really need to make. And
I should get you to come and sell my my products and services for me. It's an excellent job. Thank you. I really liked, Daniel. One of the things that I've really taken out of this is I really, and it's interesting, isn't it, why things stick with you? But I really liked what you said about the analogy where the finances is a ball that bounces, and it absolutely resonates with us, because just having a conversation this morning with a client, and the finances of his business are less than ideal, shall we say, but in a conversation where we were talking about planning and talking about the steps that he needed to take, all of a sudden, like you say, with a little bit of support, a little bit of input from someone else, all of a sudden the possibility of resolving that became actually relatively simple. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it could well happen within 90 days or easily within a year. So in this particular situation, and so that really resonated. I appreciate that. Look, thanks very much for sharing. Would you mind just commenting again about the gift that you have? So we just leave that with the audience.
Yeah, I call it the reset your energy. It's kind of what I would call an energy audit. What it really comes down to is just start asking yourself, the question: what are the things that do give me energy, and that you can get excited about, really empowers you on a daily basis. And on the other side, you put all the things that kind of drain you of energy, all the things that you don't want to do, that you have to do, and in the middle, it's all the rest. I mean, essentially, you have to go to the no side and to the negative side, to the ones that kind of don't give you the energy, and see how you can remove them from your life.
Yes.
The next step would be going into the middle and saying, okay, are these things really that should be giving me energy, or are these things that really I have to say no to?
Yes.
So again, you move those out, and then really focus on the things that really energize you. And I believe that we all have a purpose why we are here and what we should be doing. And I think if we all focused on all of the things that we need to do, and allow other people that are great at all the things that we really don't want to do, our life would be a lot more simpler, and we would be able to accomplish a lot more. And you see a lot of successful business owners, that's what Bill Gates does. He doesn't do the things that don't give him energy. He lets other people to do that.
Absolutely.
And Richard Branson, and there are so many examples of that. So that's really what the focus really comes on. And so you can go and download there's going to be a link on my website that you can go and download that. And what I'm also offering with that, if you want some help with that, and we can have the kind of the discovery call together, and I can help you to kind of look beyond that and help you with that exercise or any other questions that somebody might have.
That's great. Hey, look, and Daniel, there'll be a link to that on this page when it goes to air or goes on screen online. Struggling to find my words. Thank you. Look, thanks very much. I really appreciate your time. I hope the audience has found it valuable. It's been fascinating talking to you, and I really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you very much. And you know what? My website, actually, I know it's going to be on the webpage. It's going to be resetyourmoney.com. I've got several different ones, but one particular is resetyourmoney.com. It's nice and easy to remember, and I'll definitely have a link even on the front page for that free resource. So
awesome, great.
Right.
Thanks very much, sir. See you again.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you.